The movie is about race. This has always been a very hot button topic in America. And so reading the script, it was clear that this was going to be a movie that would actually speak to a lot of people about this issue. We had no idea that 1 year later, after we made this film, that this is the topic in America, that our president has decided to make race one of the biggest issues facing us right now. So this movie, unlike what's going on and you see on the news all day long about hate, this movie is about love. It shows hate, but it ends with love, and that's the message that we're trying to put across. And I think it couldn't be a more relevant message today than of all time.
I think that when you are in environments where one has to stand on top of another and in a sense dehumanize one another in a very stressful living condition, you see behaviors come out. Jason and Garrett were friends. They drove from Tennessee down to Louisiana where we were shooting. That was the trek that the family had actually taken in the book, and they brought that with them. I think the characters with the Jacksons, this was about wanting to make their lives better and being every hurdle and being held down through a system that Jason Clarke's character was very happy to, be part of. And so we have Pappy as a, racist that everyone can point their finger to, but in truth, they were all racist. And so in those degrees and in those shades of gray, we hope that a conversation will begin.
I'm very involved in gender politics in Hollywood. It's an absolute outrage that not many women get a chance to direct movies. I'm trying very hard to try to change that in my own little way. So when this unbelievably great piece of material landed in my lap from Sally Jo, my first thought was, I'm going to get a woman to direct this movie. I'm going to find the most talented woman that I can find. And it also was important to me that because of the subject matter, that it be an African-American director. And D, to me, after seeing Pariah, and that was 6 years ago, that this was one of the most talented women working behind the cameras, black or white, and so she was an obvious choice to me. Not an obvious choice in Hollywood. Not easy to raise money to do a film like this with her, but when you see this movie and you realize how talented this woman is, she's a superstar, and she's going to be one of the top American directors working right now. It doesn't matter that she's a woman; she's just a genius. I think it's in every business that you're in. There's so much bias going on. There was a very interesting program that we saw the other day where they showed that Google showed that if they took the names off the applications for jobs, that more women got jobs. So there's men dominate the film business. So it's not a surprise that less women are working in it. But that's all going to change. You'll see over the next few years. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's involved. People are going to make a change, and hopefully we're part of that.
Well, there's several things. You have the themes of the commonality between these two families, both the African-American sharecroppers and the white family with the landowners, and frankly the themes of friendship between the two young men coming back from war and what brought them together as friends, and the issues that they were all dealing with love and trying to advance their families all at the same time. And even though this was in the 1940s and the adversity that they're facing, to flash forward to now and having so many similar themes and issues that we're still dealing with in the States, and really a movie and a story like this can get people to confront their past and their history, and then hopefully have real meaningful dialogue, and a film like this will hopefully show how we're all having this shared experience and how we really all want the same things of love for our family. And then hopefully this can be something that can bring communities together, and then we can move forward. And so yeah, just all of the heightened conversation and the current administration of what's happening in the States today, I think that's just was circumstances that just happened to surround this. And we made this movie way before a lot of these things bubbled up. but it was something that when we read the script, as you know, by Virgil Williams, and when we read Hillary Jordan's novel, it resonated with us, and we had a gut intuitive feeling about it, and that this was a movie that needed to be made. And we knew that there was no filmmaker better than Dee Reese to tell that story. And so then all of these other things that have just happened to just show why a film like this is necessary. That was just timing that we couldn't have planned for, but it just really shows real issues that we're dealing with.
Can you talk about particularly, I guess, having someone like Mary J. Blige on board, because she's not someone people naturally associate primarily with acting, but just scene-stealingly magnificent in this film?
She is magnificent in this film. Dee knew she wanted her. She knew she could get an extraordinary performance out of her. She knew that in her music, all of her soulfulness and pain, that she would bring that to the screen, and she did. But the fact that she stripped down all of her Mary J. Blige-ness and really became Florence and transformed herself has been one of the greatest joys in watching this movie.
Excited. It would be great, but I just try to stay sobered by the fact that it's subjective, it's art, you never know, but to the extent that it shines a light on the cast and that it shines a light on the craft, the woman behind the camera, like Rachel Morrison as DP, I think she'd be the first woman, I think she might be the first, like Rachel Morrison to be nominated if it happens, or to win if it happens, and Mako Kamitsuna is my editor, and Tamar Khalid is her first film score, so I think it would be huge for everybody in terms of like people like us getting a shot next time, and so like that's kind of what I look to, like what is it going to mean going forward? Like it's not about just this moment, but how's it going to, improve things, so we'll see.
I also have to ask about Mary J. Blige. You managed to strip her right back. That must have been, a challenge. You challenged her.
Yeah, and but I couldn't have done it if she wasn't willing to like go there. And so it's a testament to Mary's commitment to craft, and that she's willing to completely go natural, remove all artifice, and just let herself being seen. I think being seen is one of the hardest things as human beings that we do. And so because Mary did that, she's able to sink into the character, and she brought her own personal history and her experiences, and invested them all in this character. And there were literally actors on set that didn't realize it was her, and it just shows how far in she went. Like the worst thing is to go to a movie and just see the actor. The best thing is to go and see the character. So I was glad we were able to do that.
Can you talk a little bit about why 2017 is the right time for this kind of period story, and the very crucial triangle that you find yourself locked in at the heart of this story?
Well, it's a wonderful film that Dee's directed. I think any year would be a fantastic year for somebody to watch this film. I know what you're trying to look for. I just, it's a great film. I think, like I said, any year.
Just talking about, I guess, the triangle, can you tell us a little bit, for people who aren't familiar with the book, your character and the very poignant sort of conflict between your character and Jason's in this?
Jason Mitchell or Jason Clarke?
Jason Clarke.
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of brothers at odds. He's my older brother. I get with Triangle, I don't want to give away too much with him what happens. I mean, obviously he's married to Carey Mulligan's character in this, and I come back from war with PTSD, a little survivor's guilt, and one thing leads to another, and I'll leave it at that. I read the script months before I even spoke with Dee. I watched Pariah, and then I spoke with Dee, and I knew that I would want to work with this director on this film. I think she's incredible. What she created, the cast she assembled on this, has been, phenomenal. Everybody went there and gave 110%. There were a lot of elements that were difficult to work with. Obviously, the racial elements and the elements of where we were shooting it, and Dee handled everything like a true captain, and she's gonna definitely be one of the auteurs of our time. The voiceovers and stuff like that, well, they were in the book, and the benefit of those were the voiceovers gave you an insight into what each character was feeling emotionally. And it was almost kind of like each character's journal in a way. And Dee had an interesting approach to this, which is when we were filming, she would have us write letters to each other to give. So I would write Carrie a letter as my character to her character, and give it to her on whichever day I felt that she was going in to do a scene where maybe that would be sort of a whisper in the back of her head of what I had said to her. It was interesting. It was nice. And it was nice to get the letters from Carrie and Jason and stuff as well.
Started with a script, and I read it and I really enjoyed it, and I saw Pariah, which is Dee's first feature, which is brilliant, and a conversation with Dee, and by the end of the conversation with Dee I wanted to do the film, so it was pretty instinctive. It was a great part, a lovely story, and lovely is the wrong word, it's not lovely, but it was a great story, and a director that I really wanted to be a part of one of her films, you know.
Carrie, this is obviously a period story, and in some respects quintessentially American, but can you talk about the universal themes, the heart of this story that makes it relevant for all countries and all times?
Yeah, I think it's a story about loving your neighbour and community, and a story about a group of people all struggling and being bonded by that struggle. So it does feel, I mean, it's a period film, doesn't feel period at all, because sadly so many of the issues in the film are relevant today, but it really is about, it ends with love, and that's what it's about. It's about facing towards each other and coming together and being brought together in spite of everything.